It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union.
On the evening of October the 22nd, 1962, American President John F. Kennedy announced the Soviet Union was building missile bases on Cuba, just 90 miles from mainland America.
We are calling tonight for the prompt dismantling and withdrawal of all offensive weapons in Cuba under the supervision of UN observers.
In a televised address to the American people, he warned these sites must be dismantled, the missiles removed, or America would take steps to defend herself.
We will not prematurely or unnecessarily risk the course of worldwide nuclear war, in which even the fruits of victory would be ashes in our mouth. But neither will we shrink from that risk at any time it must be faced.
In 40 years of Cold War, the world never came closer to nuclear holocaust than in the week that followed. Over 3 years, they'd watched the friendship between Cuba and the Soviet Union. How trade deals had led to arms deals. If Khrushchev supplied Castro with defensive weapons, guns, tanks, that was none of America's business. But what if, in return, Castro let Khrushchev use Cuba as a strategic base for offensive weapons to attack the USA? The CIA was ordered to keep an eye on the island. And on October the 14th, 1962, spy planes confirmed America's fears. The photographs showed missile transporters, fuel trucks, radar vans, nuclear warhead bunkers under construction. And intelligence reports informed Kennedy that at that very moment, more nuclear hardware was on its way. For 5 days, Kennedy had held talks with his National Security Council, reviewing the options, planning a response. The blockade was launched to intercept the arrival of any more missiles and to force Khrushchev to a public resolution of the crisis.
Do you, Ambassador Zorin, deny that the USSR has placed and is placing medium and intermediate range missiles and sites in Cuba? Yes or no?
You will have your answer in due course.
Mutual fear had started the Cold War and kept it going. In October 1962, that mutual fear brought the world to the brink of war. Listening on the radio, the Garbovskys pieced together the details of that anxious week. How in Europe, American bombers were flying 24-hour missions, ready for the call to strike. How in Florida, the nearest mainland to Cuba, the biggest American invasion force since the Second World War had assembled. But it was the blockade which focused fear the most. The seemingly inevitable confrontation between the American Navy and Soviet ships carrying military cargoes. If Khrushchev refused to turn the ships around, the result would be catastrophic. On the 27th of October, 5 days after Kennedy's speech, Khrushchev offered a deal. Telegrams were received at the White House. If the Americans scrapped the missile bases in Turkey, the Soviets would in turn withdraw from Cuba. Kennedy agreed to Khrushchev's terms, but he kept the Turkish deal a secret from the American people. Later, his advisors liked to boast how they'd stood eyeball to eyeball with Khrushchev, and how Khrushchev had blinked first. Whatever the truth, the crisis was over.